A dull knife is not a knife. Let's sharpen it. Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. The simple marking knife is a tool that was long forgotten, and most people for some reason go to a pencil. But a pencil lead is so wide that you don't know which side of the line to cut on, and I rarely use a pencil in my shop. The knife is just very exacting. Everything to one side of the line you keep, everything to the other side you get rid of. It makes it very simple and very clear. But it's only as accurate as how sharp you can get it. And if it gets too dull, you start running into problems. But it is a very odd shape. It's not like a simple chisel. It's, well, beveled weirdly. How do you sharpen it? Let's take a look. So this is my all-time favorite marking knife. I absolutely love it. It was sent to me by Dan the Maker Man, another YouTube channel. I'll try and leave a link to him down below. He's made a few of them in the past, and I just absolutely love it. It feels good. I like having this large flat surface I can reference things off of and get a nice clean mark on. Just an all-around great tool. So this is the one I use most often. This is the one I was given when I first got started woodworking. I still use it occasionally. Having this double bevel makes it very nice, so if you're cutting up against something, you can always reference that side and make your mark. But if it's on the other side, then you can flip it around and make your mark on the other side. And having the bevel just makes it very easy to say which side do you want to reference off of. Some people just have one bevel. It makes it easier to sharpen, but at that point it's just a knife. I like this more traditional double bevel style. But then it gets really confusing, you know, how do you sharpen that? But if you think about it just as two chisels, it's just one chisel that goes this way and one chisel that goes this way, it just meets in the middle. It becomes a little bit simpler. This one has gotten a bit dull, mostly because it rolled off the bench, which is the one thing I don't like about it, is it tends to roll a bit. It rolled off the bench and hit the concrete nose first. So the very tip of it is just bent over a little bit. I need to fix that up. I use these diamond plates, and I really like them. They're just quick and easy, and for all my sharpening, they work really well. So to get rid of that nose on there, I'm going to be keeping this flat on here, my fingers on here, and I'm not using much force at all. I'm just flattening out the back of this. And I want to go until that nose is gone on it. Then I'm going to take it over here. This is the medium, and then the heavy. And again, I'm just keeping pressure down with my fingers on here. Then we can wipe it off, and I'll take it over here to the strop and clean it off. Just a few strokes on this, and the back is ready to go. And I rarely do that. Once the back is good and flat, then it's good to go. But in this case, because that tip bent over, I wanted to repolish the back on here. Now it's time to start working on the bevels. With this older one, it's very easy because I can set it on here and I match it on there and I've got my bevel and I'm ready to go. And with this one, I can just set it on there and I keep my fingers up tight to the end. These ones back here are more or less just holding the weight of the handle up, and I'm going to go forward and backward. Actually, this one I'm getting small enough, I need to actually pinch it a little bit. And I can run on here. So, just like a chisel, I can go back and forth. Now, if I'm using a whetstone, I don't want to go back and forth. I just want to go in one direction so that I'm not using the edge of it gouging into the wood. And so I'm just going to do this one side while everything's dialed in. And I'm just going to go through these. You can see I'm not spending much time at all. These diamonds cut really quickly. And then I'm going to come over here to the strop and do the same thing on here. Just buff that side out, 20-30 strokes, something of that nature. And that side will be done. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Pinch it on this side, put all the pressure down here on that bevel, and do everything I can to maintain that bevel flat on the surface. And with that, I've got a nice sharp edge. Having these large bevels on there makes it fairly easy. As long as you think about keeping the pressure on the bevel itself without letting your fingers slide off onto the wood. Keep it on the bevel and keep the force even so that you're moving straight forward and backwards. Don't allow your arms to rock, otherwise you're going to be running into problems. Now with this one, it's very easy because there's large, big, flat bevels, but this one, they're a lot smaller. This one is going to be a little bit more difficult because of that, but I'm not worrying about it so much. This one, because there's large, flat surfaces on it, I want to maintain those large, flat surfaces. Because they're not very large, they're not very flat, I don't need to maintain them at a perfect bevel. I actually put a slight round onto it. Just a little bit of working it. I'm going to do basically the exact same thing on here. I'm just going to rub that bevel, and This one, I really can't feel that bevel. I'm just going to look at the scratches and see, yeah, I'm hitting it. I'm also feeling a slight burr on the back here. You can move up just a little bit this way. I can feel that burr on the back. Once I feel that burr that has bent over this way, then I can move on to the next stone, polish it up a little bit. One of the things about diamond stones is you're not going to get that really shiny finish that you do with wet stones, and a lot of people think that that's a problem. It's not. That's the reason the strop is there. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing I did in the last one. 3, 1, 2, 3. And then strop it out. Really nice, polished, shiny surface. And then I'm going to repeat the whole process on this side over here and sharpen that up. So you can see it's really not that complicated of a system, especially if you're learning to freehand sharpen with your chisels. This is just a slightly step more difficult. Just requires a little bit of patience, feeling the burr, and knowing where you're grinding. So you can look on there and see where you're grinding, where's the burr. If you don't feel the burr up by the tip, that means you haven't ground anything there. You need to keep going until you feel a little bit of that burr sticking over. And then strop it out. The strop is where all the magic happens. Now, most of the time, I'm actually just going to be maintaining this on the strop. And so I rarely take it back to the stones unless I drop it on the concrete. Usually once a day or so, I'm just going to bring it over the strop, do a few strokes one side, a few strokes the other side, and we're good to go for the day. And it's a really nice, clean, honed edge that will make a perfect marking knife line. And slice the fibers. Beautiful knife. I am in love with it. There you have it. It's not that complicated of a system. A lot of people really like to overthink it and try and figure out how are they going to get a machine to hold this in place and put that perfect bevel on it. You don't need a perfect bevel. If there's a little bit of camber on it, oh well. The only thing you really need is a sharp edge right on that tip. And if that tip is sharp, even if it's slightly dull, it's okay. But the sharper it is, the finer the line is, and the more accurate and precise you can be. So I hope this helped you and answered a few questions. If it's something that you would like me to expound upon or you have other questions, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear those. And I do want to say a huge thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are the reason why I can keep putting out videos. If you'd like to help out with Patreon or make this channel a little bit better, you can find out more right down here at Patreon. Also, if you want to like, subscribe, share, that really does help out this channel, and I thank you for that. I do have a second channel with some behind-the-scenes footage if you'd like that. That's about it for today. Until next time, have a wonderful day.